evening and welcome to Upon Further Review, our brand new show we have going on here. We're going to be covering quite a bit of the Jefferson County and abroad football. Just everything's going on football-wise this particular past week, and we'll talk about next week as well here. We've got our panel of folks here, our Upon Review group here. Matt Bates in the middle here, and Jeff Whitener. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Fabulous.
Having a great day. We're getting ready to head out of here and do some high school softball tonight.
You are? Okay. Awesome. And we're always busy doing something here at Livestream STL. So upon further review, we're going to take a look at Week 1 results. We'll go through these, and gentlemen, you guys can chime in when you want. We'll start with the Livestream STL Game of the Week. That was DeSoto and Deberg. DeSoto coming out on top 42-12.
Big rushing week for DeSoto's Eli Thibault. He had 236 yards on 20 carries and for an 11.8 yards per carry average. So big push by their very good offensive line, which is probably the best in the conference, to be honest with you.
And after an injury to freshman running back Robbie Smith, Joey Escobar stepped in, a sophomore. He pinched in with 5 rushes for 46 yards, averaging about 9 yards a pop as well.
Perfect. Our other game over here, Herculaneum and Windsor. Herculaneum coming out on top. A big win, 42-6.
Boy, it's hard to tell on this game if Herculaneum's that good or Windsor is just that bad. But Herculaneum had a big night, and they have every reason to be optimistic. Lucas Barr, 5 touchdown receptions.
And we had Deering, their quarterback, went 9 for 13, 242 yards, 4 touchdown passes. And right now, at least as far as Week 1 goes, you've got one of the top passers in the area, and you also have one of the top receivers as Lucas Barr, yes, with the 7 receptions as well. So Ray and I had talked about this a while back, which was it's just been a while since Herky had somebody in the number 1 spot, much less either in passing, receiving, to lead the whole MSHAA area right now. So kudos to them.
Brentwood 26 and St Pius 16.
A bit of a surprising score here, but it is the first game of the season, and St. Pius, like Jefferson, replacing a lot of players this year, so they're going to have to find themselves along the way. James Smith, the quarterback now for St. Pius, was 14 for 63, rushing with 4.5 yards per carry. So I have a feeling they'll be fine, but Brentwood, very fast team, and should be a very decent team this year.
Jefferson and Fredericktown, real low-scoring matchup here, 6-3 in Fredericktown's favor.
Not a lot of information available for this game. It appears that Connor Armstrong, the all-conference, all-district lineman for Jefferson, did not play in this game. I'm going to have to get some more details and get back to everybody on that. But 6-3, I know Fredericktown was much improved this year. They're a much larger physical team than Jefferson. And we'll have to see what this means down the road, if the Blue Jays are going to struggle this year with a lot of young players at the skill position, or if this is just sort of an opening game anomaly.
Oakville and Perryville, 48-0, kind of a blowout there for Oakville.
Yeah, Perryville's woes continue. Oakville, measure this game a suburban team versus what is now a I-55 conference team in Perryville, along with the smaller schools. So too early to really tell if this is going to be a trend for either team.
A good showing here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a good showing here for Bayless, 14-7 over Principia.
Yeah, Bayless gets its first win since 2020. Mark Patton had 100 yards rushing and a touchdown on 15 carries for the Bayless Broncos, 6.7 yards per carry. So congratulations to the Bayless Broncos.
James Houston looks like he's number 19 in the area in passing after his night. He went 10 for 16, 180 yards, had a TD, 2 interceptions. And in receiving in that game, your second receiver in the area is Dave Ubami from Bayless. 6 receptions, 154 yards, was averaging 25.7 receptions. So you had Herculaneum with the number 1 receiver and Bayless with the number 2 receiver, at least in as far as the area stats go.
Very interesting. Crystal City 43, big win over Chaffey, 43-0.
Yeah, kind of surprised on the margin of victory. I think Crystal City, I would have picked them to win. Chaffey's down a little bit right now, but I'm very surprised at the point differential there. Crystal City hanging 43 on Chaffey. We don't have any stats available for this game, but kudos to Dan Fox there in getting his team prepared for week 1.
I was given some stats at the last minute. Touchdowns by about 5 or 6 different people. Well, I believe also either a fumble recovery or a interception for a touchdown as well. So a well-rounded win there for Crystal City. We'll move on to St. Genevieve and Festus, 50-35 in St. Genevieve's favor. A
couple of takes out of this game. Festus continues their sort of disturbing trend that they had all last season and a little before that of falling behind early in games and then having to play catch-up. And that's something that Coach Ofadale over there and I'm sure his staff are working on as far as their defensive schemes, starting games and opening drives for the other team. But that doesn't mean that St. Genevieve's not a good team. St. Genevieve is a very good team this year, and they are going to be a handful for a lot of MIAA teams down there, and or MAAA, pardon me, teams down in St. Genevieve and that area. So I think Festus will be fine. They'll of course have their big matchup coming up later on with Hillsboro, but some adjustments to be made there for the Tigers.
Hillsboro 49, Sykeston 14.
Hillsboro Hawks ran roughshod over Sykeston. It's no mystery what they're going to do in the Mississippi Conference this year. They're going to run the ball and run the ball with authority. Austin Romaine, 2 touchdowns, 125 yards on only 8 carries.
Wow.
Jackson Patterson chipped in with a touchdown, 60 yards total with 4 carries, but they spread it out. They had 7 different rushers in this game, and they rushed for well over 300 yards total. And it was 15 yards at a clip. Austin Romaine, 15.6 yards per carry. Jackson Patterson, 15 yards per carry. Cohen Linderer, 15 yards per carry. I mean, it was not pretty for the Sykeston Bulldogs.
Dynamite in small packages. I mean, when you're getting running backs with 8 carries and they're averaging 15 yards a pop, that's damage across the board.
North County 36 and Farmington 22.
Kind of surprised at this score a little bit that Farmington didn't make this one a closer contest. This one, if you had asked me before the game, I would have thought it could go either way, but this is a very good showing for North County, and they're serving notice to the rest of the Mississippi Conference that they are a force to be reckoned with this year.
I agree.
Valley Catholic 61, Sethman 36.
Now, this was an absolutely incredible game. Valley Catholic, a school with just over 100 total students versus a school, Sykeston, a large suburban school with over 1,000 students. And they pull out the victory, 61-36. This game was close until about 8 minutes left in the game, back and forth. And finally, Valley Catholic pulled away. But Cole Rubel, the Division I prospect senior this year for the Sykeston Jaguars, had an incredible game. He's a one-man wrecking crew, had 285 total yards in the game, including 275 of those on the ground. So it just wasn't enough at the end. Chase Fallard and some of the other Warriors were able to pull this one out, and they're going to be a problem.
You're correct with that. It was 36-27 going into the fourth quarter, and Valley rings up 34 points, and Sykeston doesn't have an answer for him in that fourth quarter. And Michael Stivers, number 12 in the area now, with 14 total tackles. He had 9 solo and 5 assists.
Fox 26 and Melville 7.
Fox 26, Millville 7, kind of a game that was expected. That's a score that I would have expected in that contest. The Warriors taking care of business against Millville, who's in the middle of a rebuild.
Sullivan 34 and Northwest 7.
Kind of surprised at this score that Sullivan was able to put up 34 against Northwest. I thought this game would be slightly closer, but I did give the edge to Sullivan in this one. But they were able to hang 34 on Northwest. The Lions only managed 7 points, so I don't know if anyone's pushing the panic button over there in House Springs, but it is some cause for concern.
I agree with that assessment totally.
Grandview 33, Paris 13.
We don't have any stats on this game. This is a good win for Grandview on the road, having to go halfway across the state to play Paris. That game was the emergence of Nash Moore, 19 carries, 121 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, 1 touchdown. Also Cameron Hagan, we know him well. Touchdown on 9 carries, 103 yards. So Nash Moore, remember that name? I think we know another famous Moore from Grandview over there who is going to Three Rivers to play softball now, Ray.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Final score
Natalie.
of week 1. Yeah, final score of week 1 here. St. Vincent 42 and Marceline 13.
St. Vincent is my dark horse pick in the I-55 conference this year. They have a great young quarterback. They're playing at home against Marceline. Not much known about them, but they handled business in their first game. And then I really think St. Vincent's going to be a team that is going to be vying for that top spot in the I-55 conference.
Awesome. Well, that's the week 1 matchup results, and we caught up with Keith Woodland from our game of the week here, the live stream STL Friday Night Blitz game of the week. From DeSoto High School over his big win, 42-14 over Deberg. We're catching up with Keith Woodland, the head coach here from the DeSoto Dragons. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well.
Awesome. Hey, well, you got the monkey off the back, and been a long time since you guys have seen a win. Congratulations on the big win, 42-14 over Bishop Deberg last night or 2 nights ago, and had a great night out of Austin Missy. 10 for 19, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns. Elaborate a little bit on Austin Missy's performance.
Yeah, we thought we'd be able to run the football quite well. So he's begging for us to throw the ball, like quarterbacks do. But I'd say overall he performed pretty well. He's got some stuff to clean up, but I got to keep reminding myself he's 15 years old, and he's going to make young mistakes. So I think if our receivers clean up the routes a little bit, it'll be a little easier for him. So
yeah. Well, and we will add to this here. Eli Tebow, what a heck of a game! 20 rushes, 236 yards. He's averaging 11.8 yards a carry already. So you got to be real happy with that performance.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a tough kid. We knew what we had coming in, right? But it's always worries you a little bit when you got a couple freshmen in the backfield. But if you look at our running back line, I got 5 kids, and 6 kids, and 1's a sophomore, and 5 are freshmen, and 2 have never played football. So kind of got to roll with what we got, and he had a heck of a game.
Well, good there, and kudos to you for being able to incorporate that. I mean, the newness of new players and things like that. So that's been huge. Just want to maybe get an update as well, real quick here. I know there was a lot of injuries because we covered your game there Friday night. Any major injuries? Anybody majorly hurt from the game Friday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how major. Most of them were cramps.
Yeah,
one of them was an MCL. His swelling's not down yet, so got to get that checked out. That's our other freshman back, and he'd probably have over 100 yards as well if he finishes the game. He had 5 for 50 or so and a touchdown. So it's Robbie Smith.
Okay. Unfortunate, man. We hope he gets well and doesn't have to have any major surgery or anything like that. Talk a little bit about I guess one of the things we pointed out was if there's anything that maybe on the constructive analysis side on our side was the snap counts and a lot of just a lot of penalties, offsides and encroachment and false starts and things like that. I know referees didn't help you out a lot, but I know they want to get that taken care of quickly, and I'm sure that's something you guys will be working on this week.
Right. Well, on the referee standpoint, it's their first game too, and people are allowed to make mistakes. So I don't really harp too hard on that. My discussions, in fact, the Whitehead said that, boy, that was the nicest butt chewing I've ever had when they called that inadvertent whistle on the touchdown. But most of our stuff is definitely fixable. The kids were wound tight. I think they knew they had a very winnable game, and they were excited about it because this senior class has not had much success going back to 7th grade. So, especially the center, he just wound up, and we'll get him right, and he'll be okay.
Well, we appreciate the time and catching up with you, and good luck on the rest of your season here, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.
That is Coach Keith Woodland from the DeSoto Dragons. A great win for the DeSoto Dragons over Deberg, and guys, we'll talk a little bit about that. Wasn't a pretty game the first half, but the second half came out big time for DeSoto, and Matt and I were there for that particular game. Matt, your take on the DeSoto game?
It was definitely the vibe and the feel of a week one game where you had two teams really trying to iron things out. It was noticeable from the get-go that the snaps were an issue with both teams. I found it was going to become a bit problematic, at least for me on the DeSoto side, when you have an all-district center in Werlich who, even in last year when Missy came in at quarterback, that they would have had some time to get familiar with each other on that, because the snap issue, because it's a shotgun snap, not an under center snap. So really, it's not like you had different hands changing or anything underneath. So it's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be something more where just like continued reps are going to be the way to get around this. But as we were talking during the broadcast, I mean, if you were playing a more formidable opponent, because you even saw that on the punt as well too. You had the snap that went over the head, and and Deberg had the ball 1st and 5 from the 5, couldn't put it in because they wound up going to a 4th and 25 because of the false start penalties, pre-snap penalties. So Deberg, to their credit, I mean they hung in there as best they could. You can tell they've got some things to work on in order just to put the ball in, punch it through the goal line. But DeSoto, I think they do have a little tightening up of the nest per se, to where I think if you're going to be heading down the road here, as you get into conference play, some tougher games, those teams are going to make you pay for those mistakes.
Yeah, agreed. I agree completely. We'll move on to our next interview with Coach Dan Fox. A big win for Crystal City over over Chaffey, and some notes that they sent us over there, because I know that the particular stats weren't sent, I guess, public here, but 6 touchdowns by 6 different players here. Cannon Bolton, Caden Rafferty, Nolan Eisenbeis, Landon DeRoos, Cohen Compton, and Camden Mays with a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown. So they had one heck of a day for the Crystal City Hornets.
And Jeff, I know,
Crystal City.
Yes, and I know you can speak to this, that with when we were touching on the Hillsboro game, when you've got 6 different scorers putting the ball in, that makes just trying to adjust to your defensive schematics against how to cover, who's going to be our focus of the game. When you've got 6, 7 different people scoring, that's going to make things tough on your defensive play calling. So I think getting Crystal City 48-0, and also having the shutout on defense, you've getting programs relevant back on the map again, and this could be a boost to Crystal City in order just to light the fire, even though it was week 1. But a lot of things pointed in the right direction. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Well, in addition to having so many different guys handle the ball, you're getting guys, your backup, your second, third string running backs on the depth chart. You're getting them some very valuable reps in game situations. So you see that a lot of times. And for those guys that are backups to be able to have that kind of success, that bodes well both for your depth at that position, but also tells you a lot about the offensive line of the Crystal City Hornets.
Hey, we're here with Coach Dan Fox from the Crystal City Hornets. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Great win this past Friday, 43-0 over Chaffey, and wanted to just catch up with you to talk a little bit about the great performances. 6 different touchdowns, and I want to get these all right. Camden Bolton, Caden Rafferty, Nolan Eisenbice, Landon DeRoos, Cohen Compton, and Camden Mays all had touchdowns. That last one there, Camden Mays, a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown. And you had a real great showing from quarterback Kyle Schomburg, 51 rushes, 2 for 3 for 66 yards. And tell us a little bit about the win from Friday night.
I mean, it really was a complete team effort. We've got a great group of young guys and we are still a fairly young team, but a great group of young guys that really enjoy the game of football and are very smart and dedicated to the weight room and dedicated to practice and have learned to win throughout the junior high levels, and they're carrying it on up to the varsity level. And we've got some juniors and seniors that have taken their lumps and they're hungry for some wins, and it was a nice. Everyone contributed. It wasn't our running back scoring touchdowns. It was our offensive line working double teams and getting a vertical push on the defensive line, and guys making key blocks, and our defense just trying to get 11 hats to the ball as much as possible. We were really happy with the output.
Absolutely, and rightly so. Any injuries to speak of? I know one of the big key things that we saw out of week 1 was a little bit of cramps and a few injuries here and there. Did you guys come out fairly healthy after that game?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their little bumps and bruises, and arms are a little bit scratched up and bruised up, but outside just a little bit of cramping issues we have, and somehow we have it every week 1, but we came out fine.
Awesome. Who do you have next week?
We have Louisiana coming to our house.
Oh, there you go. Well, open up the home stand there with Louisiana, and we hope you have a good showing there, and we appreciate the time here, and good luck to you next week, and we'll catch up with you again, I'm sure.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. Yep, anytime.
Hey, that's Coach Dan Fox from the Crystal City Hornets. We're back. We're going to talk about the Herculaneum Windsor game here. Big win for the Black Cats, 42-6 over Windsor. Gentlemen, surprised at the score, were you?
Surprised at the score as far as the large margin of victory for the Black Cats, and certainly they had a lot of success in the air. That's a situation where Jackson Deering, Lucas Barr last year, Coach Blane Boss had Lucas Barr starting at quarterback and Jackson Deering spread out as the receiver. This year they flipped those roles back. Barr really felt that he could better help the team at the receiver position, and he certainly proved that Friday night, Matt.
Yes, he did. Only receiver in the area with 200 or more receiving yards, and he did that on 7 catches, averaging almost 32 yards of reception. So when you're putting the ball in the air like that, now, I mean, it could be a short pass with a lot of runs after the catch, but when you're still averaging 32 yards of reception, that is doing some real damage, and that's busting some coverage on the defensive side. So I agree as well. I thought Herky would come out on top on this, but I thought, the margin of victory was going to be maybe a little tighter. But, kudos to Coach Boss and how they were able to accomplish the victory on that.
And Jackson Deering, 9 for 13 on the night, 242 yards, 4 touchdowns to be one of the leaders in the area. and quarterback rating of 211.524. Pretty good for the first week. Now I will say this: I'm going to throw cold water on this a little bit for you Herky guys, and you and Ray are the Herky alums here, and everyone's excited.
Sure.
And I think it's great. It's very, very important to the whole I-55 conference for Herky to be on the uptick, and they are. And they're a team that's improved last year. They're improving this year. But I will say this: it was simply a Week 1 game. Week 1 games are known for certain different anomalous things happening. Lots of penalties you see in the first week. Everyone's knocking the rust off, including the officials. Right. And so as much as I want Herky to be successful this year, I think we have to temper that with the fact that, the big test is coming up. And they're going to have to go through St. Pius, and they're going to have to go through Jefferson and St. Vincent. And if they can win 2 out of those 3 games, they're going to be in great shape, not only for a possible conference win, but also great district seeding.
Agree with you.
That was exactly just what I was going to say, Jeff, that, with, next week they're at Fredericktown, and then the week after that they're at home versus Jefferson. So, I mean, you got, your next game can also be like a tune-up game because, then you're going to really hit the ground running coming up. So, I agree, but it was just, good to see at least, it's just been a while since the Herky program has had some damage at the top of the area standings. And so we will take our Week 1 feather in the cap, and yes, we will we will move on. And But as they say, when you're at the top, it's how can you stay there? And so I mean, for these young kids, it'd be something to build off of because I know they have access to this just like we do.
Right. My take on that, talking with Coach Boss and our players of the week, which we'll leave that here for a second, but I believe the just the MO's been that's just another game. We still got more work to do, and it's on to week 2, and I think that the attitude with that was really good. So I think they're not taking this too much for granted. So I think they're going to be all right. Hey, we're here with Coach Blane Boss from the Herculaneum Black Cats. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Big win for you there, 42-6 over Windsor. Finally got that Windsor monkey off your back. I know last year was a close one. The year before that had been a close one as well. But pretty good to have a first week win over Windsor.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I was telling you earlier, I mean, it's just week 1 game's always tough because you practice all summer for that team that you're playing. So, if you don't get that win, it's almost like it's amplified. And, it's one of those things that kids kind of get down and right off the bat, you start thinking, are they not going to believe in themselves? And, luckily we got the job done this year. So definitely proud of them.
Jackson Deering, 9 for 13, 242 yards, 4 touchdowns. Lucas Barr, 8 rushes, 55 yards for a touchdown. And I'll put this out there. Jackson Deering leading the St. Louis area right now in touchdowns and quarterback ratings. So I don't think that's ever happened before to a Herculaneum quarterback that I can remember. But maybe elaborate there on Jackson's performance.
Yeah, no, I mean, he had a good game. I mean, him and Lucas both. Lucas, I think, took a couple short passes for him, the distance, so that kind of helped him out. But Jackson made a couple good throws when he needed to. And, when I say good throws, I mean right on the money where Lucas didn't have to slow down or anything or break stride. So, no, Jackson, he has it in him to be a heck of a quarterback. So we just got to continue to move forward. He's definitely by far still got a lot of things to improve upon. And catching the snap first and being a good teammate are a couple of those things. But, no, we're excited, we hope we can get a performance like that every game, because if we do, it should be a heck of a season. But, no, I'm proud of Jackson. He did a great job for us and look forward to seeing what he can continue to do this season.
Any injuries that bothered the Herky Black Cats this week? I know one of the things we kept seeing in a lot of our games was just cramping and just getting yourself up to that. I guess that game conditioning and whatnot. Any issues over there with Herculaneum?
I think we were pretty fortunate. We had a couple bumps and bruises. Had one kid that got his shin hit pretty hard and had it looked like probably a softball-sized lump on it. But it actually went down today. It's just kind of bruised now. But no, fortunately, I think we stayed healthy, and that's one of the things that for us to continue to have a season where we want to be is we need to stay healthy. So that's one of our big things. We don't have a whole lot of depth, and we only have 36 kids out right now. So we got to continue to stay healthy. Stay
healthy is the name of the game. You have the Farmington Black Cats. Are you hosting, or you're going down there to Farmington? Is that correct?
Fredericktown, yeah, going down to
Fredericktown. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Fredericktown. Yep. We have Fredericktown, and give us a little bit of insight on what you know about those guys.
Well, I know they're kind of the same boat as us. I mean, most of their guys are going two ways. They don't have. I think they only have maybe 30 guys on their team, 9 through 12. So, no, it's going to be one of those conditioning type games where who's in better shape. So we'll see how that rolls for us. But I mean, they're going to be coming off. They're coming off that win against Jefferson, a team they probably haven't beaten in who knows how long. So their kids are going to be super excited, super confident. So we'll have a tough game on our hands, and their kids played hard, and they're going to play hard Friday. So that's their home game for them. They'll have their crowd there, and there'll probably be a lot of people there just because they simply beat Jefferson. Their kids are going to be believing they're good, and same thing with their crowd. So it's going to be a tough game for us, and we have to have a great week of practice.
Well, there you have it there. Thanks so much for catching up with us, and I'm sure we'll catch you down. We got you for week 3 against Jefferson, so that should be a good one as well, and we'll hope to see you then.
All right, sounds good.
That is Coach Blane Boss from the Herculaneum Black Cats. Let's move on to our next game here, the Valley Catholic Warriors with a big win over Sykeston. And you want to talk about, to me, I think the big thing that I took away from that when we were watching throughout the third and fourth quarter here during our game, we saw the 34 points unanswered from Valley. That's just great coaching. That's just being able to make adjustments and be able to just outcoach your opponent. And I really believe that. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, in addition to that, I was very interested in following along very closely that game back in the studio here, and I'm hearing all these familiar names come up for Valley Catholic, Ray, and it's names that we know very well from Legion baseball in the summer. We cover Festus Post 150, and so many of those guys that play for that team had major success for their respective schools in Valley Catholic and also for St. Gen against Festus. And it's just good to see and good to recognize those familiar names for us. Those great young men. Absolutely. Matt, your take?
As we were, getting the updates from Jeff back at at our broadcast, that as I said earlier, I mean, the 34 points that they threw up in the fourth quarter. When I got to looking at least just the scoring stats that were provided, that when you're putting the ball in the end zone almost every 2.5 minutes, and as we were talking about, and just to tie another facet into the sport was as we were doing the women's ABA game, we were talking about discipline with the ball. And I know it was a week 1 game, but I would have liked to have seen what Sethman's approach was, because the discipline with the ball, if you get into a panic mode and, when your possessions, when you're not even going 2.5 minutes on possessions, it sounds like you go into a scramble mode, and next thing you know, the game's getting away from you. And as I had indicated earlier, and even during the broadcast, Valley is one of those teams. You make a mistake, they turn around and they put the points up off of turnovers, and nothing has really changed since the only time I had ever played them. They came up on a JV game, waxed us 62-0, and I mean every year it's wash, rinse, repeat with those guys, and their technicality, their level of detail. You can't afford to let your guard down for 1 second against Valley Catholic, and that is and you just see it right here. Whether they're in Class 1, Class 3, it doesn't matter what class they're playing against, because you're going to get the best of those 100 students that go there and they represent.
Matt, I agree 100% on that. That fourth quarter, you saw a blocked punt converted to a touchdown for Valley Catholic, an interception converted to a touchdown for Valley Catholic, and a fumble recovery converted to a touchdown for Valley Catholic when they were pouring it on there at the end of the game. So you're exactly right. Sykeston, a little bit of panic mode trying to come back, and man, the Warriors just stepped right on that and converted those, just as you said.
We caught up with Coach Judd Naeger, and this is the interview from Friday night. Hey, we're here with Coach Judd Naeger from the Valley Catholic Warriors. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to get my big head in this
Hey,
picture.
there you go. You went the wrong way there. That's okay. You went the wrong way, but we'll get you all squared away. Hey, an impressive come from behind come back win last Friday here. You're down 38-27 going into the third quarter, 34 unanswered points to win 61-36. Maybe take us through a play or two here that you think was the key to the game.
Well, obviously, their fumble was huge. I think they were up 9, headed in to score, and we were able to make a play there to get the ball out. And, from then on, we really kind of took control of the ball game. It was kind of weird. We had probably about 5 or 6 kids out with cramps, and then we slowly started to get them back one by one. And then, all of a sudden they were all 5 back better than they were to start the game. And they kind of had a little bit of juice there as the score started to change a little bit. And it was a weird game from the beginning to the end. And, certainly that wave of, 34 points was, kind of interesting.
What do you say to your team in the third quarter there at that point that helps motivate or, helps them kind of get over the hump there?
We just tried to keep their heads up and, tried to get them to understand that we had scored fast all night and we could continue to score fast. And we just needed to stop in a turnover at some point to get it back down inside of one score. And, we were able to do that. We felt like we, left some points on the board in the first half, certainly. And, had some breakdowns in the first half to give them some long scores. But there for a while in the third quarter, they really were able to kind of impress their will on us there for a while. And, Tim Oakenfoos, number 9 for us, was, so important to our defensive structure for the game. And at halftime, we decided we might try to move him inside as opposed to where he was playing. And that kind of led to some breakdowns on the edge. And it, wasn't anything about our kids not, playing hard. It's just that, the position we were asking Tim to play was a very hard spot to play. But once we got him back out there, we were able to kind of slow him down again and, get some stops.
Awesome. On the offensive side here, Bryce Giesler, 11 carries, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Fallert, some amazing quarterback play there, 16-32 for 365 yards, 5 touchdowns. Sam Drury, 7 catches, 146 yards, a couple of touchdowns. He's averaging 20.9 points or yards per carry. That's or per catch there. That's a pretty massive stat there. So big time games for all your offensive starters there.
Yeah, Bryce is he's a very special player because you can play him all over the field. And there'll be some games that he has 35 carries and some games like this past week where he only had 10. And it just kind of depends on how we decide to use him that night and what is the best way to use him that night. And Chase certainly had a great game, and those are the things he's been doing for us for 4 years. We certainly missed him last year when he was out for those last 6 games, last 7 games that he was out for. But he made some amazing throws under a lot of pressure. He made a couple corner route throws that were 45 yards across his body, running left. He made a touchdown pass to Bryce Giesler where they sent 6 against empty, which means somebody was free, and he kind of made one of those Mahomes no look sidearm passes, Bryce, and he was able to break a tackle and score. And those are kind of things teams are going to have to kind of think about if they're going to bring 6 against empty. Is that a good chance Chase can either make one miss or he can change his arm angle, and then we get the ball to Bryce or Grant or Sam, any of those guys on the outside if they're able to make a move. But and then you're sending the house, you don't really have a whole lot of support inside out.
Right. Moving on to this week here, you've got the Festus Tigers coming in. That'll be our game of the week here for Friday Night Blitz. What do you know about the Tigers up here at Festus?
We know they're really big and strong. They got some outstanding athletes on the outsides. They've got 2 of the better receivers I think that you'll see anywhere. Certainly with Branch, one of the best receivers in the area for sure, and then. Number 3 does a really good job for him as well. And, running backs big and strong. And, both of their quarterbacks, do multiple things well. And then, offensive line's big and strong. And then, they platoon just like, Sykeston does. And, certainly that kind of presents its own set of problems. If we can fix the cramping thing, I feel really good about how good a shape we're in, because we played – better in the fourth quarter than we played in the first quarter Friday night, and versus a team that certainly platoons and so forth. So we got to figure out the cramp thing. Figure out how we can get ourselves hydrated so we can stay on the field. This week playing a spread team does allow us to play more guys. When you play a team like Sethman and in your school of our size, you really got to play a lot of guys both ways, just because we don't have a lot of big guys. So
yeah.
So the big guys had to play offense, the big guys had to play defense, and I think this week we'll be able to roll 8 or 10 defensive linemen through there. We'll be able to roll 4 or 5 inside linebackers through, and then in our secondary, we feel good about 6 or 7 kids. So it's just going to be a matter of getting those guys breaks whenever we can get those guys breaks, and seeing if we can stay fresh. We certainly understand Festus is a very, very good Class 4 football team, and we're going to have to continue to do the things that we did, last week to be able to compete.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it, and we appreciate you catching up with us and appreciate the time here. We'll see you Friday night for our Friday Night Blitz game.
All righty. Thank you very much for the coverage.
Appreciate that. That is Coach Judd Naeger from the Valley Catholic Warriors. Hey, we're here with our players of the week here, Jackson Deering and Lucas Barr from the Herculaneum Black Cats. Gentlemen, how's it going tonight?
Pretty good.
Really good, awesome. Well, hey, impressive win, 42-6 over Windsor, and you guys kind of lit the touchdowns up quite a bit and lots of points and things like that. And we just want to catch up with you real quick, just talk a little bit about the game. Jackson, we have you down 9 for 13, 242 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think you had a pretty good day there, Jackson. Elaborate a little bit on the game.
At the beginning of the game, I was a little nervous. I kept on dropping snaps. Then I started getting used to it, and then I know I can throw to Lucas. I rely on Lucas a lot.
There you go. And Lucas, you had 8 rushes, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. You were averaging 6.9 yards a carry there. Lucas had a pretty good night. And what was working for you to get open?
I don't know, just trusting what coaches told us all season, run the right routes, be in the right place at the right time, trust Jack to give me the ball.
There you go. You guys realize that you made some pretty good accolades, some things that I don't think very many Herculaneum greats from the past have made it on the leaderboards in the local here St. Louis area region for a lot of different categories. I know, Lucas, you're number one right now in points, and I believe in quarterback percentage as well. So congrats on that. And I know, Lucas, you're up there on a couple of other categories. But take us through maybe the preseason here. What's been preached from Coach Boss this season?
Just work hard in the weight room, on the field. Just trust what coaches have to say. Trust each other. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Well, and it's been an interesting, past couple 3 years as well. You come so close a couple times here to getting over that hump by beating a large school team like Windsor. Felt pretty good, I'm sure, to get that monkey off the bat, right?
Yes.
So take us through next week. You guys are Fredericktown. Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you know about Fredericktown Black Cats?
They'll beat us if we don't play good. If we don't do our job, do better on defense.
Well, there you go. Got to have some good defense there, and I know. Talked to Coach Boss as well. You were mentioning getting those snaps down. I mean, it's going to takes a game or two to kind of get in that rhythm and whatnot. But looks like you guys had a pretty good day last Friday, and congrats on being the Players of the Week here. And I'm sure we'll catch up with you. We got you next week as our Friday Night Blitz game. So we will see you then. And congrats on the Players of the Week.
Thank you.
That is Jackson Deering and Lucas Barr here from the Herculaneum Black Cats. And we are back here. We have our Week 2 matchups. We'll go through them real quick here. Valley Catholic at Festus. That'll be our Friday Night Blitz game of the week. Herculaneum at Fredericktown. St Pius at Deberg. Cape Central at Hillsboro. Fox at Lafayette. Bayless at Grandview. Perryville at Windsor. U-City taking on Sykeston. Cuba taking on Jefferson, North County at St. Clair, Scott City at St. Vincent, Louisiana at Crystal City, Sullivan at DeSoto, and Northwest at Parkway South. Let's talk real quick on maybe one or two that kind of jumps out at you there, Jeff.
Well, Valley Catholic versus Festus, a very intriguing matchup, and I'm so glad that we're carrying that game. Festus obviously came out of week 1 with some things to work on there. And Valley Catholic, they've got to be riding high after that big Suburban Conference win. So I think that's going to be a very, very entertaining game. And the biggest thing that I come away from that one is thinking, can Festus figure out a way to improve their defense and stop Chase Fowler and the Valley Catholic Warriors on offense?
Absolutely. Matt, your thoughts on one of these games?
Hillsboro Cape Central is going to be one of. I would say I agree on the Valley Festus game. My alternate pick would be the Hillsboro Cape Central game, but my dark horse game is going to be the Pius going to Bishop Deberg game. Only because I just want to see if Deberg can build off of what they were trying to get done in week 1. Yep. And if they can variate some of the schemes that they were doing, if they could get Jake Masters to run the ball just a little bit more out of that spread formation that they run, I think Pius could be in for a long day if they don't plan accordingly.
Well, there you have it. And there you are.
I just want to one other matchup I just want to touch on real quick, guys, is the Herculaneum Fredericktown matchup. Herculaneum at Fredericktown. Now, we just saw Fredericktown hold Jefferson to 3 points. We're going to find out if that was something that was an anomaly, or if the Fredericktown team is that good and that tough on defense. And see if they have a scheme of being able to stop the Deering-DeBar connection. And we'll find out. We'll know so much more about the season after that game. That's a real bellwether game for me.
I totally agree with that assessment, too, because in the fact that there wasn't a weather-related issue, meaning that it wasn't raining to that degree, to where, if it was that sloppy and it could, equate to a score like that, where, outside of pretty much everybody battling maybe a little bit of the heat, and then to ring up a 6-3 ball game, seems to be a bit of an anomaly. And that's why I say let's see how this Fredericktown game goes, because then the next week they kick up at Jefferson. So totally agree with that.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Well, we wrap up week 1 here of Upon Further Review. Catch us next week, and we will have a lot more, I'm sure, to talk about out of week 2. And we appreciate everybody watching today. We'll see you next week.